Greta really made a meal out of the hi Barbie, hi Ken, hi, you know, that whole bit, and then hi Alan. And yeah, now people on the street say hi Barbie a lot.
Probably.
I like it. I'd rather people be shouting that at me than other things. So
this is true.
I'll take it.
For the rest of your life.
For the rest of my life.
First of all, well, congratulations on your reasonably successful film.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you. So you're a producer on the movie as well. How did you know a Barbie movie would connect with audiences in the manner that it did? Or did you know?
Yeah, it's like 90% of me was certain that this would be a big deal and a massive hit. And then like 10% of me thought, no, this could go so badly wrong. But I went after Greta Gerwig from the beginning to direct and hopefully write as well. And then she invited Noah to write with her without really even consulting him. But it meant we got two brilliant brains on the project. And it really came down to her saying yes to this. I had no doubt that this was going to work as soon as she said yes.
And she was always your first choice then?
First choice.
Okay.
I just wasn't going to let her say no. I had met her before because I've wanted to work with her for a while. You know, it was a pretty long process. It was about 6 years ago. We got the property. First we had to, you know, it was set up at Sony. We got it out of Sony, set it up at Warner Brothers, got Mattel's blessing to let us produce, then went after Greta.
Okay.
And then it was like the writing process. And yeah, obviously I didn't know it was going to have the kind of, be the cultural phenomenon that it ended up being.
When did you realize that that was what it was going to be?
I knew there'd be big reactions to, I could say, it was all the way along, I was like, okay, I think people are picking up that we're trying to do something interesting here. You know, the fact that it's Greta Gerwig, people were like, Greta Gerwig in a Barbie movie, what? And so that was the right reaction. That's what I was hoping for. And then, you know, the pictures of Ryan and I rollerblading on Venice Beach came out and like went even wider than I was expecting that. I was like, oh, people are going to notice, of course, but it went kind of crazy. And it was starting to occur that, oh, this might even be bigger than I'm even thinking. And I believe in this more than anyone. So
of course.
I'd been thinking big for it, and it still turned out bigger than I expected.
Hey, Barbie.
Yeah.
Can I come to your house tonight?
Sure. I don't have anything big planned, just a giant blowout party with all the Barbies and planned choreography and a bespoke song. You should stop by.
In terms of this sort of the version of the film and the adaptation or the idea of it, you know, were Mattel cool with that from the beginning? Did you have any kind of pushback with how kind of radical you were trying to make? Or
yeah,
I
mean, Mattel were amazing to let us do this. And I mean, they're a character in the film.
Yes.
Which I don't think they were expecting at all. But they had no idea until the script was done. So Greta and Noah's process is to go away and not let anyone see the script.
Okay, even you?
Until they're totally finished. No, even me. We would kind of like, because it was COVID, so they were writing it during COVID, we would do, you know, talk over Zoom and check in and be like, how you guys going? And it was so fun because you could watch Greta and Noah, like, you know, they're like, oh, we're working on this idea. So they'd tell us, you know, like working on this idea. And then they kind of like, you know, when you talk to a comedian, you can tell sometimes they're like testing bits on you. They kind of like test bits with each other. And we would just sit and, Tom and I would just sit and like watch them and be like, yeah. Because Ken's probably, you know, Ken would probably be like, and, you know, say something. And then she'd jump in and be like, yeah, it's kind of like, and then before you know it, they're kind of writing a scene, but verbally and in front of you. And it's a fascinating process. And they write chronologically. So they don't map something out and then write it, which a lot of writers obviously do, but they write themselves into corners and write themselves out of corners.
Yeah, like we used to do as kids, just like write a story and then...
and like let it unfold. And I think because of that, the story has a quality of, you know, you not getting too far ahead of it, like because they didn't know where it was going to end up really. So it was fascinating to kind of watch their process. And I think the movie is so, you know, amazing and original because of that process. But then, came the day where the script was in our inbox and Tom and I sat down on the couch to read it. And like, even on page 1, I was just like, oh, wow, okay. It's going to be hard to convince them to let us to do this, but I'm loving it. I mean, it started with a Kubrick reference, like completely redoing 2001: A Space Odyssey. And I was like, oh, I don't know if this is what Mattel had in mind. And then by the end of the script, you know, I was just like, wow, they're never going to let us make this. It's such a shame that this brilliant piece of writing will never see the light of day because they're never going to let us make this. And they did, thank God, and a massive credit to them. But it was a lot of conversations about getting them comfortable with being very, very, very uncomfortable.
So they had a sense of humor.
They did,
Yeah.
and you know, Mattel, they're a toy company and they haven't made a movie before. So
Yeah.
there was also like a educational process of like, oh, okay, this is what you're reading on the page. It took a second for me to realize that some of their concerns could be assuaged just by explaining the process of
Yeah,
the film.
yeah.
You know, for some things they're like, but Barbie's saying this. And I'd be like, okay, but this is how I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And then I'd say it and they're like, oh, and I'm like, see how my face is telling you that I don't think that. But
Okay.
the words are saying that.
Yeah.
But that's subtext, and there's subtext all through that, you know, so, and they'll be like, oh, okay, so they're, and then still there's some jokes where they're just like, do we have to use the word fascist? Do we need that bit where Mattel employee gets shot? Do they have to be shot? You know, we're like, yeah. So there were certain jokes, and I was so prepared to like fight for certain jokes, and then like, you know, to explain like, no, we have to have that joke because it this and this and this, and some of them they're just like we're fine with, and then other jokes I didn't think they'd have a problem with, you know, but it was never a case of, oh, they didn't like that, so let's cut it. It was no, we need to explain why we think that should be in there, and get everyone, like I said, comfortable with being uncomfortable. Did you think so many people were gonna watch a movie about the making of the atomic bomb?
No. Christopher Nolan was always determined that it would be released in the summer as a big tentpole movie. That was always his plan, and he has this kind of superstition around that date, the
Do all
21st.
his movies come out on that date?
In and around the 21st of July, or it could be always the 21st. They always come out then.
I mean, it's a good date.
It's a good day. It
We
is
picked
now.
that date too.
Yeah, I know.
I remember one of the producers, Chuck
Yeah.
Groven, called me because we worked together on some other projects.
Okay.
And he was like, I think you guys should move your date. And I was like, we're not moving our date. If you're scared to be up against us, then you move your date. And he's like, we're not moving our date. I just think it'd be better for you to move. And I was like, we're not moving. I think this is a really great pairing, actually. I think it's like,
Well,
it's a perfect double billing, Oppenheimer and Barbie.
that was a good instinct.
Clearly the world agreed.
Yeah,
Thank
they
God.
did. But I think that both of these films show the appetite that the audience has for cinema.
I'm always like, you know, everyone talks about the algorithm. I'm like,
Yeah.
how on earth is an algorithm tracking me? Because I have such an eclectic taste. If you look, you'd be like, wow, she's going from, you know, that black and white film from the 20s to Love Island. So like, what box do I put her in?
Yeah.
Same thing. But the fact that people were going and being like, I'll watch Oppenheimer first, then Barbie. I was like, see, you don't, people like everything. People are weird. People have specific and wide-ranging tastes.
And they don't like being told what to do.
Yeah.
Audiences don't like being told you should see this or you should see that. They will decide and they will generate the interest themselves. And I think what happened with both of our movies was a case in point of that the audience decided, you know, that this was correct and this was right.
I think they were also really excited by the filmmakers.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think
People
you're right.
were like itching for the next Chris Nolan film and itching for the next Greta Gerwig
Yes.
film. To get them at the same time was, you know, exciting.
Quantum mechanics says it's both. How can it be both?
It can't.
It can't. But it is. It's paradoxical, and yet it works.
Because I'm a fan of yours, I have watched a lot of your things on the internet, on YouTube. And there's kind of like, it's out there on the internet that you're not that aware of memes and things like that. First of all, is that true? And second of all, if that is true, were you even aware of the Barbenheimer like phenomenon, or were you just blissfully unaware because you use a dial-up phone or something?
No, I have teenage boys. I have 2 teenage boys, so they keep doing this. So, and I do know what a meme is. Now I know that there are memes about me not knowing what a meme is.
It's a great meme.
But
It's like inception of memes, a meme within a meme.
It is. I genuinely, at the time, did not know. But people forget that was
A while ago.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah.
You know,
I might not have known back then what a meme is.
no. And I mean,
I'm not that tech savvy.
exactly. And I think children started that stuff, right? So,
Yeah.
so it wasn't necessarily, but now that it's become this sort of like meme that's eating itself, I am aware, but it's mostly because of people either sending it to me or showing, saying, look, you got to look at this.
Yeah.
But I do think that,
Did you see any of the Barbenheimer?
I mean, it was
fan art?
impossible to
Wasn't there some great ones?
avoid any of that stuff, which is,
People are so clever with the things they come up
it was incredible. And it was self-generated, you know what I mean?
I know. People kept asking me, they're like, so the studio's talking, each marketing department's talking to each other. And I was like, no, this is the world doing this.
The world.
This is not a part of the marketing campaign. This is just happening.
And I think it happened because like both movies were good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the thing. And there was a sort of a diversity offered by both
Yeah.
movies. In fact, that summer, there was a huge diversity of stuff in the cinema. And like, I think it just connected in a way that you or I or the studios or anybody could never have predicted. We could never
You can't force
have
that.
predicted.
You
No,
can't orchestrate that.
no.
Just
And it may never happen again.
I know.
You know, it was,
I mean, it was wild seeing that many people going to the movies.
yeah.
Wild. Did you go to the movie?
Did you go to see Oppenheimer or did you go to see Barbie?
Do you sneak out and see like what the vibe is? I mean, we were going around to cinemas checking like levels and things like that.
Yeah. Well, that's, I guess you're a producer and you got to do that. I try to avoid looking at myself. I struggle with it.
But isn't the mask the best thing?
The what?
Now,
Oh, yes.
I wear a mask everywhere.
Yes,
And I
that
can go
is.
everywhere again. It's so
But
good.
I wouldn't volunteer to go in to see myself.
No,
in it. But I do know that Chris and Emma, Chris Nolan and Emma Thomas, his wife, producer, I think they were sneaking into.
Checking how it's.
Yeah. But then like the fact that people were going dressed up as Barbie or dressed up as Oppenheimer to go and see the movies multiple times, it's kind of so flattering and, you know, kind of overwhelming and so great for cinema.
Totally.
Yeah. Like being the producer and being the star of the movie, how did you manage to kind of, I guess, split those responsibilities, or was that difficult? Were you always going to play Barbie?
I wasn't always going to, not necessarily. I, you know, even when we got the property and sat with Mattel, I said, you know, they were like, will you play Barbie?
Yeah.
And I said, no, that's up to the filmmaker. So it's, you know, I want to go after Greta Gerwig and she should cast whoever she wants. And
Yeah.
if that's not me, like, that's okay. And I said that to Greta as well. It's like, you write the script that you want to write. You and Noah write it. And if you think I'm the right actor for it, great. And if you don't, like, let's go get the best actor for it. Like,
Cool.
I didn't mind. I really wanted to produce this. I really wanted to make this. It wasn't until I read the script that I was like, oh, I have to play it.
Yeah.
And she'd written it like Barbie Margot. So
Right,
she made it
okay.
pretty clear, like, no, I want you to play this role. But you've done 5 movies with Christopher Nolan now.
This
right?
is 6, actually.
6, really?
Yeah.
So you like the guy. Big fan.
It seems to work. You know, I mean, this is the first time playing a proper lead role for him. They'd always been
Yeah.
supporting parts over the years. It's 20 years we're working together.
Has your relationship changed or evolved in that time?
I mean, I think that it's probably gotten, you know, richer. I think, you know, I was certainly just kind of starting off back then, or starting to work properly in film, and he had just made the leap in, you know, from making independent films into making big studio movies, and he was taking over this franchise for the first time with Batman Begins, and obviously just nailed it. But I think he's refining his kind of vision and how the types of stories he wants to tell and how he wants to present them. You know, like moving into IMAX, and you know, was the first
When
director
did he
to
start
do that.
shooting always in the large format?
I think it was Dark Knight, where I think that opening sequence at the beginning, I think that's in IMAX. You remember when Heath breaks into the bank and all that? I think that's in IMAX. I think that's I could be wrong, but I think that's one of the first times that he started using it. But like in Oppenheimer, we were using it almost all of the time.
Yeah.
And they come at you, it's like
It's film. I mean, those cameras must be so heavy,
yeah.
so loud.
So loud, so heavy. Have you worked with him with IMAX?
No.
It's
But I know he shoots on IMAX and always on film. So
Yeah.
imagine, like, to get more than a 4-minute take, those mags must be massive.
they're huge. And our amazing DP,
Hoyte.
Hoyte, was like, carries him everywhere. Like I remember in Dunkirk, we'd be like on a boat in the middle of the ocean, and Hoyte would have the thing on his shoulder, and it's like these beautifully composed shots.